Hey everyone, welcome to this video. Today I wanted to work a little bit with Python, file and processing. And I wanted to use something that is a real world to give you a flavor how Python is so useful in solving problems. Now I came across this particular link from Berkeley.edu where they have listed the cybersecurity salaries in all these different states, okay, all these different states, and they are reporting salaries for the computer network architects, computer programmers, and information security analysts, and that's what we are. Now, I want to develop a program where if I just ask the program, hey Python, tell me what is the information security analyst salary for, say, Alabama, it should give me this particular number. Okay, if I want to look for what is the cybersecurity salary for Florida, it should give me 91,950. Now, how do I do that? Now, what I have done, I have copied this particular file, okay, and put it in a CSV and saved it. I think I saved it in my local desktop. Let me see where we are. So, File Explorer, if I go to my desktop, I have the salary and I have saved it as a space separated CSV file. That's how I saved it. So if I open it with just Notepad, that's all it is. Okay, so Alabama, Alaska, Arizona. So what I have done to make my program a little bit more simple, I have removed the header from here. Okay, so from this header, I have removed it, but I have kept everything else in my program. So if you look at it again over here, this is the program that I'm looking at. Okay. All right. So what I have, I'm using the Visual Studio Code for this particular lab. And what I have, I've created a file, cybersalary.py, where we're going to run the code and develop the code. And on the same folder, I have placed the salary space separated final CSV file in here. Okay. So let's come back over here and let's see what are our tasks. So our real goal is to teach file read and write operations with Python. Okay, so let's start our goal. So first, how do you read file in Python? Okay, so the most basic way you can start with, like you can say file is open, and then you can provide the name of the file. So here in this case, the salary space. Let's try typing salary uh, space sep let's see, final.csv. So that is the file we want to open. So the name of the file, and then you need a mode. So you see name of the file and the mode, and mode could be read mode, write mode, append mode. So for this one, let's use a read mode because we just want to read the file. And once the file is read, there are multiple ways to read the file. So the first way is just to use the read function. And to do that, you can type like content. That's a variable where we're gonna say file dot read. Okay, so that will get everything within the file and place it within the content as a chunk, and then you can print your content. Okay, now with code, you have a little tiny run button at the top. You can hit run and there we go. So my code is running. So what it did, it went to the particular file and printed all of that information for me. Okay, so I know I'm able to read the file just fine. So that is your number one lesson, that how to read a file. You can use R. Now, what happens, okay, in reality, if you don't have this particular file, so if say I'm just trying to read a file, the file final one, it's not there. If I run this code, okay, run this code, what's gonna happen? Most likely you're gonna see a problem. What happened over here? Yeah, there's a problem. So you're getting an error. Why? Because this file is not found. The file not found error. So it's always good idea to wrap any file operation that you do with a try except block. So you will do like try, and you will do all of that, indent that, and then you can put except, and most of the time the file is not found, so you can actually go after this error itself and then say print check the file name. Okay, so now if I run this code, okay, so let's again, if I run this code, so now what should happen, you're getting a much better output. So you're not getting this weird looking error. You're just saying, hey, check the file name. Okay, so let's first fix this code. So now this one still run again, and so far what we have here, so you are the first way to read the content of the file and printing the content. So this is still gonna work. So let's run this one more time and look at that. I'm able to read the file. Now the next thing is, once I have the file, what to do with the file. So the other way, so let's look at another way. So second way to read a file, okay, and that one we can use a method called read lines. Now note, I'm going to teach you two ways. There are multiple ways though. You can also use a singular read lines method, which is going to use only one line at a time. Okay, but for this exercise, let's use the read lines method. What read lines does is very interesting. It reads the whole file. It creates a list for you. It's already going to create a list data structure, and each line becomes one item in that list. So the index 0 will start with this particular line, index 1 you have this line, index 2 you have this line. So let's look at how that works. So it looks very similar. Again, you're gonna say content, okay, and this time we can call it file dot read lines, okay, and then this time let's just call it content. I know there is going to be a list. I'm just going to call it the content list. Now, for list, there are multiple ways to print it. So what you can do, I can always use the for loop for line in content list. I can print each line. Okay, so let's say print line. Okay, so that is one way to solve the problem. So let's not print this one, so I'm going to comment this one out. And if I run this line, okay, another thing that I would mention, if you're using this file open, it's always very good idea to close the file. So here, since I'm done with that operation, okay, uh, well, I cannot close the file yet because I'm still gonna need this file over here, but there are two different operations. So what I'll do, I'm gonna comment out this code because you have already learned this way to print. Okay, so let's just stick to the second way to print now. So focus on this. I still need this line. So you are reading file open celery space separation final CSV. Now instead of using this code, you are saying content list is file dot read lines. Instead of read, we are using the read lines, and I'm using this loop for line in content list print line. So let's run this code again and let's see what happens. Okay, so what happens at the very bottom, you see it looks a little different. Okay, and it's because it's printing every single line from this particular list. Now to prove this one, I can show you. I can say print, first of all, type of the content list, and that should print the type of this particular variable. So let's just do that, run it again, go down to the very bottom. So over here, if you look over there, it's saying that it's line, this line 13, it's saying, hey, is the list, and then it's printing everything. Other way to print the list is just print and just provide the list name. Okay, content list. Okay, and let's take out this code and just run this much. Okay, now go down to the very bottom. Now it might look a little bit easier for you to make sure that it's a list. I don't know which one is better for you. So this one was telling you here is the square bracket in, here is the square bracket beginning, and this whole line becomes the list item 0. This next line becomes the list item 1. This became the list item 2, and it goes on and on and on. Okay, so now I have proven you that this has become a list. So my goal is, so you have learned how to read these files. Okay, but our final goal is, if you think about it, we want to know the salary of cyber security specialist for a state. Okay, so we don't know that yet. Okay, so we need to do something more intelligently. So first of all, how do you know the state? So state, let's get it from the user. So let's get an input function and call it please enter the state for which you would like to know the cybersecurity salary. Okay, now once we get this, we can read all of that. Okay, and then I don't need this anymore, and I don't need this anymore either. Okay, let's come back to this particular for way to print everything. So right now let's just print the state and see if that's working. Okay, let's run the code. And this is how I code. I write a little bit of code and make sure that it's running every time I write a bit of code. So if I hit run, now it's asking, hey, please enter the state. So let's say I want Virginia and hit enter. So what it happened, so it said Virginia is printed because of this line where we are printing the state, this line, and then everything got printed. Okay, that's a very bad way to give it to the user, right? So user can still go through your whole list and go to this line and figure out, okay, Virginia has three different numbers. Now user may get confused because this is the correct one, the third one in these numbers, but they, you kind of solve the problem, but not a very good way. So really what I want, when this loop is running over here, you only want the loop to print this line only when your state is found. Okay, now to do that, let's add a if condition in there. So if we'll do if state dot starts with, and we're gonna use the name of the state, which is the state, and do start capitalize. Okay, so we'll do capitalize because I know that I'm seeing everywhere all these states the first letter is capitalized. Okay, that is the reason I'm saying, okay, just to capitalize every single line so your code is a little bit more flexible. So what I have done, I have added now a if block. So now let's indent this code over here as well. So what this little bit of improved code will do, it is only going to give run the for loop and print this line in that content list that we have the salary details only when the state matches the beginning of the line. Okay, it will still print the whole line for say Utah or Texas or Tennessee, but it's going to print one line. So let's just validate that again. So run over here, the very bottom, it says you can asking, hey, please enter the state for which you want to cybersecurity salary. Say I'm going to say Virginia again, hit enter, and this time it didn't work very well. So let's see what starts with Uh, I'll just say state for now. I have to look at that function and again validate this one more time. So let's run this and let's do Virginia. It still did not work very well. So let's think what we are doing one more time. So for uh, no, we find state. We got the state here. The state is, let's go back and see what is the state. State is the Virginia. Virginia is fine. Do I have a Virginia in here? I have Virginia. Okay, so you're reading these lines for line in context like if state, no, not state, sorry, this is a problem. If the line starts with state, then capitalize, I'm gonna keep it for now. Then it's gonna print that line, right? So if this line, if that line starts with the state, okay, then you're gonna print that. So now it looks better and we fix a logic error. Run the program again. This time to Virginia, hit enter. Now finally we are getting there. So now only one state, that particular line is printed. So now what we'll do to improve the code, so we're gonna remove this particular line. So this is not needed. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of that one. Okay, and let's just clean up this code a little bit. Okay, so this is not needed. I'm just gonna clean up completely, and this is just the first way of reading, not needed anymore. I'm just gonna keep it for now, but I'm gonna clean up this little bit of code from here. Okay, so now it's a little bit more cleaner. I still have the except, which is fine. Now, one thing I haven't done, I haven't closed the file, which is a most important thing when you're using this. And let's just close the file over here. And the last thing that we want, now we are very good. So let's rerun the code since we have made some changes. And this time, let's say use, what should I use? Let's try Florida. Okay. And so this time it's got my line, but I'm only interested in this one, right? I'm not interested in anything else. So we need to do something else. So this is really a string, everything as a string. And the string has got a split method where you can split these numbers, okay, by the space, okay. So what we can do here, okay, we can say splitted is, I can say line dot split, and then we want to split by a space. Okay, now when I have splitted, so this is going to be index 0, index 1, index 2, and index 3. So now if I do and just put index 3 for the splitted one, I should get the right salary. Okay, that should give me only this number, and this is kind of was our end code. Now let's rerun this code one more time, and it's asking for the salary. So this time let's go back to Georgia, and this time look, I didn't capitalize my G. I just said everything in small. And let's hit enter, and it's still working. And this time I'm getting this 94,490 back. Now, if you want to make that a little bit more clear, and you can say something like use your if string and say the median cyber security salary for, and then state, whatever state user is providing is, and then you use this curly braces syntax to end it. And that should do it. That should make your code a little bit more professional. So rerun this. Let's call it Virginia. And now you have the nice output. So the median cybersecurity salary for Virginia is 111,790. So that's the end goal for the program. So we wanted to file read and write. You have learned how to read the file. I haven't really taught you too much about how to write the file yet. You have learned where to open the file, and you should be closing the file. There are other ways to open where Python can actually close the file. We're gonna learn that in another video. But the primary goal that we want to know the salary of the cybersecurity. For our state, we have solved the problem. Now, is this the best solution? Okay, you can question. Okay, and probably I'm gonna say no. Okay, the way I would probably like to solve this is to create a dictionary, create a key value pair, and key value pair should have your IOR as the key and your salary as the value. So if you want to go back and try to modify the code to do some of that, you absolutely can. Okay, so that we can learn in the next video, where I'm going to teach you what is Python dictionary, how to populate a Python dictionary, and how to work with a Python dictionary in a real life situation to solve some problem. So yeah, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and I'm going to share this code to you in my GitHub account, and I'll share the link in the video. Thank you, and happy learning Python.